Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Bahrain Now. With me, your host, Bara Abdallah. We've got a great show coming up featuring great local talents, initiatives, and happenings from around the kingdom. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Ishaq Madden is more than just a photographer. He's a visual artist, taking what's already there as Ishaq shares his worldview with the rest of us, armed little more than just his camera. With portfolio that's more like a film strip from inside a VHS, he's not a talent you want to sleep on. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Ishaq Madden to the studio. Good evening, how are you?
Good evening. I'm good, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It's a huge pleasure.
Definitely, man. You're super talented. Like a bit too good, to be honest with you. But before we get into the whole thing of your world, how did you get into photography? A little bit about yourself.
Well, how did I get into photography? Well, basically, I think it started when I was a kid. My parents used to take us on trips abroad. And basically, I was the designated family photographer.
Okay.
So I'd usually, shoot. So if you'd go through the albums, sometimes you'd see me not in the photos, but the rest of them are in there. So you know who shot the photo. Best, but then I think it fell off a bit. I got into other interests like music. I was actually in a death metal band for a bit. Yeah, that was an interesting phase.
Okay.
And after that, basically, I think it was when I was doing my undergrad, actually, I picked up my friend's camera.
Okay.
And I just started to go out and walk and shoot. And then I think it just picked up from there and blossomed, basically.
And that's it?
Yeah, that's it, basically.
So now, normally when you do something for such a long time, what keeps you like motivated to do such a, I would say, a skill like photography? Was your case is that people were complimenting your work, or it's just you enjoying the journey and you just clicked with it, I would say?
I think there's a mixture of different things. Like I consume a lot of movies, I consume a lot of music, and I view photography as a way of as visual poetry, basically. So when I'm taking a photograph, I'm trying to tell a story, but in a poetic way through visuals. And
that's a beautiful way to say it.
So as I developed that further, I just enjoyed it. It made me also feel like I was a director. I'm directing a film, but through still images.
Beautiful.
So it was an amazing experience so far, amazing journey. I
love it when you said it's like, visual poetry. Like the way you weave your words, man, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Thank you.
That's how you see it. I love that. So how long now you've been a photographer for?
I think it's been 8-9 years, approximately that time. Yeah. I mean, initially, when the iPhone and Instagram photography started booming, and that's where I actually also started to pick it up a lot, because I used to shoot with an iPhone 4 in the beginning, and then I picked up my friend's camera. But these seeds were planted, and it just grew from there, basically.
Okay. What camera was that your friend had?
I think it was the Nikon Coolpix. You know those ones that can zoom into the moon?
Yeah,
it was that.
What?
So basically,
What's your first?
I could do everything with that. So it was
telescope.
Yeah, it was literally a telescope. I could really zoom into the moon to see every single, crevice and all that stuff, and it was crazy. So it helped me look at things in very different perspective, because I had that entire range from the beginning. And then slowly I started practicing with different types of lenses, prime lenses, wide angle and stuff. So it helped me build a composition. But in the end, I think just consuming a lot of movies helped me, build the idea of how I want to tell my stories.
Amazing, man. From being pretty much a photographer / death metal at some point of your life and consuming a lot of movies, what kind of movies that helped you give you a better, I would say, perspective of photography? Like, is there like a certain movie that you said, you know what, I love how it looks, the lens, the angle? Is there a certain movie that triggered you?
I think I'd say there was a series that's quite recent, actually, Mr. Robot.
Oh yeah. And, wow.
Yeah, the cinematography in that was incredible.
Crazy, right?
And it actually inspired me to shoot in a very different way, because the camera angles were very off subject. It would be like your typical photography rules and composition would be like have the subject in the center and such, But when you watch Mr. Robot, it was very different, very, very refreshing, the way things were shot and unique composition. So I basically tried to memorize that and apply it in real life situations.
Man, that's brilliant. Honestly, I guess in my case, if anything that triggered me to actually become or wanted to become a filmmaker but never happened, unfortunately, was The Matrix.
Ah, yeah.
It definitely introduced us to different kind of takes
That's true.
and
That's
angles and how a movie is shot and pictures, and that was crazy. But Mr. Robot Man is an amazing example,
That's true.
honestly.
That's true. The soundtrack, the acting, the story, incredible.
Wow,
Incredible,
wow.
yeah.
So now, as you've been doing it for 8 years as a photographer, is there like a certain genre you pretty much see yourself like, shining at more than others?
I think so. In the beginning, I was more focused on street photography and travel photography, because then it was much more easier to the barrier of entry was very minimal, so you could easily just get into it and just do whatever and like practice. And because you can just go out in the streets in your farij and start shooting and photographing things, and you'd be comfortable. So in that way, it helped me build confidence. And then eventually, I started reaching out to people, friends and stuff, to try out doing more conceptual work.
Yeah.
Work that focuses on different types of maybe themes of social commentary in a way.
Okay.
So I think, but if going back into the overall thing, I think I have never limited myself into what I shoot. I like to just shoot everything. I think I always say to myself, why limit myself when I can try different things and experience different things.
Of course.
And that way you can meet a lot of different types of people and network.
Totally.
So they all work together in one fruit salad, basically.
I love what you just said right now, because I think I can relate to that. Even with TV, as we present different TV shows. So being in this show right now pretty much get us to meet different kind of people. So like yourself, now we got to know you and all of that kind of stuff. So I totally understand what you're saying. It's amazing. So what genre right now are you focusing on?
So lately I've been shooting a lot of conceptual work. I had the skateboarding photo that that was featured in the Museum of Modern Art's page.
Really?
Yeah, that somehow blew up. That was interesting. Yeah.
Awesome.
And then I did recently shot this Eid post basically, but the theme behind it was like, how we usually have troubles remembering certain Eid greetings annually. So that was the inspiration for it. So I tried to find these local themes, these experiences we have, and create conceptual photographs basically.
Amazing, man. That's very creative. That's pretty awesome. So any genres you want to focus on in the future that you have them on your list? It's like check.
I think currently I'm just going to stick to conceptual for a bit, and then maybe go back to street. I like to. It's like ping pong to me in a way. So it depends on my mood and how I'm feeling and what type of story I'm trying to tell. Because different types of genre helps you, shift the story and try and help you engage a different audience or the right audience at the same time. So it depends on on the vibes, on the flow.
Amazing. So now, what kind of cameras do you use at this point? I'm sure you've done a lot, but from a telescope to something else. What do you use right now?
Well, I've always stuck to Nikon since the beginning. Even my film camera, I have a film Nikon camera.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm currently shooting with a Nikon Z6, and it's incredible. It's a mirrorless camera. And one of my gripes with photography is I really hated using those big cameras because the weight would really you'd feel it when you're shooting around, you'd feel it, and you actually get tired when you're holding those cameras. But with the new mirrorless cameras, it's really incredible experience because it's very light. Sometimes you just don't feel it. It's not in your hands, so you're just more focused on creating the story. And so basically that's it. And I shoot a lot of film lately, especially since I was in the UK. It was much more easier to develop film there compared to here. So I was exploring analog photography a lot. It was a fun experience. I still do actually over here as well.
Amazing. Now, do you see yourself being a videographer as well, like on the side, like more of it, or are you just gonna stick to photography?
I think I'm just gonna stick to photography, to be honest. It's video work is a lot. It would be really tough to combine both. My brother Elias Meden does.
Oh, Elias is amazing, man. Your
videography, cinematography, and I've been with him in some of his projects, and it's crazy work. It's really heavy work. So I was like, I'll stick in my lane,
Amazing. So now, there's a lot when it comes to photography, man. It's like capturing that moment. It's amazing, and that instant moment that can actually speak words and thousands of words. To you, if I would ask you, what would make a beautiful picture, a photo, what would that be?
What would make I think what would make a beautiful picture is the story that's being conveyed in the image. It doesn't matter composition doesn't matter, you know, colors and all that. It doesn't matter. Even black and white photos can be super incredible. So in the end, I think what it comes to is the value of the story and what message is trying to convey, basically.
Interesting. Any stories that kind of like stood up and stood out from the rest of the photos you took? Like a certain instant that kind of like, you know, got engraved in you?
There was this image I took, captured last year, and it was more focused on mental awareness themes, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, especially the fact that we were going through quarantine and lockdowns and such. I had some, you know, it was hard on all of us, basically. So it inspired me to create this image where I was trying to symbolize how our minds are constantly moving in a, you know, there's always a flow of energy, a flow of thoughts going in and out, back and forth. And, you know, especially when you're alone in quarantine and lockdown, you know, it can be quite a burden carrying those thoughts.
Right.
So yeah, that image is quite powerful to me. It means a lot to me.
Wow, wow. Well, speaking of Corona and the pandemic, did that affect you in such a way, being a photographer? Like, did it like pretty much put pressure on you, or did it like make you more creative in the sense you want to express your thoughts?
I think it made me more creative because I had a lot of time to like take a step back and reflect on my work, reflect on the things I was doing. Use the opportunity to like re-watch tutorials to refresh my mind. And then there's a lot of work I created while just being at home during lockdown, and those works were really incredible. Some of them were featured on like virtual museums as well, and in some magazines too. And so I think it doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing, as long as, you know, you take the time to reflect and see where you want to take your work and the messages you want to convey. It's possible to do anything.
Wow, wow. You have a lot going on. Definitely. I mean, your creativity is just so beautiful. The aesthetics behind your pictures and the way you convey your messages are just so phenomenal and so creative.
Thank you.
What kind of reception you've been getting with your photos?
I mean, they've been quite positive. There are times where people privately DM me and be like, they DM how they felt, the message, or like conveyed with them. They felt connected with the image. And there are people who were like, there are a lot of images I take of Bahrain because I feel like it's very important to, you know, stay grounded to where you were born and raised, and there are a lot of stories to tell through that. And so I get a lot of people who've left the country and they're like, you made me miss this island, the memories that came back to me.
Amazing.
So I think, yeah, basically.
You know you've done your job when you get a, you know, a DM like that, right?
Yeah, those are the best things.
Amazing.
I mean, it doesn't matter the likes or comments. When people actually like share their feelings of how, you know, they felt with the image, that's the best.
I love that.
Appreciation, basically.
Wow, wow. So it seems there's like, you got a lot of things going on. You have, you know, you have projects pretty much that you want to do. Anything you want to be pretty much tapping into in the future? Like a certain project you just really want to be part of?
I think it'd be great to work on some, you know, some bigger NFT project maybe, or something, to do with photography. That'd be an interesting way to, you know, further expand and get into the Web3 universe, basically.
Right. Yeah. You know, there's a question we always ask creative people like yourself, artists who have a lot of potential, which you really do. If right now I'm going to give you a check, you know, 1 million Bahraini dinars for you to do a project, what would that be?
I'll just give you my bank details first,
and
then we can discuss
your wallet. You want it in Bitcoin by any chance?
But if you give me $1 million, that's interesting. What would I do with that?
Yeah.
It's a very good question.
Yeah.
But I don't have the answer to that. Caught me off guard right there.
Yeah, well, you know, pretty much, you know.
But yeah, what would I do with $1 million? I mean, definitely, I always, I definitely give a bit to charity for sure. I mean, obviously there would be, like, I'd find a way to give back to the community, give back to people who would need. You know, there'd be a percentage. It's always good to do that. And then I think I'd fund. What would I fund? How?
Other creatives.
That's a great suggestion, actually.
Right.
I think there's a lot of talent on the island, a lot of unseen talent, and it would be amazing to create maybe a pool that could, you know, be. That could be also tied with the blockchain, you know, and in a way that other creatives on the island can access and you know, basically whoever needs some help, support in terms of funding their creative dreams, their creative direction, and that blockchain pool could help
Amazing.
them basically, and it will be traceable, be accountable. So that's
From your perspective right now, what do you think of the photography scene right here in Bahrain?
I think we have really great talent. There's a lot of really great talents like Fadi Mohammed, Mustafa Al-Bastaki.
Oh yeah,
they're amazing photographers, and there's a lot. So like Mustafa actually inspires me a lot. His work inspires me a lot, and we've always gone out and on photo walks together, and like just listening to him is amazing, And I think it's growing on the island, and there's a lot of skills, and I think that's beautiful because compared to maybe 5-6 years ago, there weren't many.
You're right.
So it's great to see talent come out and try to be brave, because sharing your work is actually you being courageous. You're taking that step to be intimate with the world.
It's so true. That is so true. As you mentioned blockchain and NFTs several times right now, how do you see this as a way to improve or help you as a photographer, especially here in Bahrain for all the creatives and photographers? It's like, creating their own NFTs or getting into the blockchain world as a photographer. How would you make that happen?
I think one way is that it's another stream of income basically. When you sell your photographs as NFTs or build a collection around it, a unique collection, as another way of just having a stream of income, because being artists just focused on art is quite difficult on this island, because it's a saturated industry, the creative industry. So you would want to find ways to diversify your stream of income.
Right.
So that's one way to you could use NFTs or Web3 to help you stabilize your lifestyle. And the other way is that basically it provides artists with a way to reach out to a different type of community, different type of networking spectrum,
Interesting.
Because there's a whole different world out there in the Web3 spectrum, and I think that's another way to grow your business and to basically plan 2 steps forward.
Okay.
So I think that's another really great way for to implement NFTs and just.
I think we need to have you back again for another episode, just for this, just for this talk.
I think that will go for 2 hours probably.
I mean, recently you gave a talk in BIBF about this, so let's take that for another episode, more about the blockchain and the NFT world and your involvement, with fintech and all of that.
It'll be my
pleasure,
pleasure,
be an interesting talk.
For sure.
Now back to photography. Let's say right now, as a lot of people, which I know there are a lot, right? I mean, I am one of them who got inspired by you and your creativity. How would you advise me and others to get into the photography world? What should we do? Like, what's the first thing? Like, I have a phone. How can I start to be a photographer?
I think so. That's a good question, because I started out with a phone, with an iPhone 4, and to this day I actually shoot with my iPhone time to time.
Okay.
So like last year I worked on a project documenting Eid in the UK.
All right.
And I just use an iPhone because I didn't want to break any intimate barrier with the subject. With the phone you're more hidden. So you want to have more what's the word I'm looking for? Natural photos. So using the iPhone is a really great way, especially when there are lots of apps now where you can really pull a lot of data out of these images, so you can have quality images. So I don't discourage people from using their iPhones. It's amazing, especially the latest ones. The cameras are like out of this world.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most important things is just being consistent. Consistency is a really important factor, because I've known photographers who started and then just gave up. They just dropped off all of a sudden because they just got tired and just weren't consistent doing anything. And then you have people who are complaining, oh, there's nothing to do here, but there's a lot of stories to tell in Bahrain.
Okay.
So if you take your phone and just get out there and start shooting, especially with street photography, is a great way to start and build and see where you want to go. So I think one of the most vital ingredients is consistency.
Consistency. Wow. How can you keep yourself motivated for such a long time? I mean, 8 years, that's amazing.
I mean, it's important not to neglect Instagram. I mean, it's helped because there's a lot of work that you can get inspiration from. But lately, I've started building a photo book collection because I've gotten a bit over Instagram. So I'm trying to expand my thought process in terms of photography. So finding different mediums, different ways to just, keep your brain moving, igniting. That's a way to do it. So like now I'm saying photo books basically.
Wow.
Yeah, just go through different types of photo books.
Okay.
Consume them, read, and you'll get inspired by that.
Amazing. I know we can talk forever. Honestly, man, I'm just listening. I'm like, wow, I'm getting some goosebumps right here. It's just so much information and good stuff. But if you're gonna leave us with an advice or something you want to inspire us with, what's that gonna be?
I'd say, as I said earlier, just be consistent with your work. Believe in yourself, and just take that step. And whenever you're feeling, you're like you're in a bubble, you're uncomfortable, just do something extremely uncomfortable, like me sitting in the studio.
Come on, you look very comfortable. You're like born for this
role.
role.
I'm never in front of the camera. I'm rarely in front of the camera. So.
Man, you got 7 right now staring at you. It's all good. It's all good, man. You did amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Honestly,
thank
man.
you.
Well, it's been a great pleasure having you with us right here. It's not going to be our last.
Oh, definitely.
Get ready for another one, definitely.
Looking forward.
Right, Ishaq, thank you so much for being with us right here.
Pleasure.
On Bahrain Now. It's been a great one.
Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. Be consistent, don't give up, and just make your dream come true. All that took place in an interview with Ishaq Madan right here on Bahrain Now. Well, everyone, I hope you all enjoyed that episode as much as I did. Don't forget to reach out to us on our social media accounts shown below, and stay tuned for more happenings right here on Bahrain Now. I'm Bara Abdallah. Till next time, Bahrain, goodbye and God bless.